Well,
You know,
well, we'll give you all our equipment, because just because you say you're Darkstone, here's my gun.
Yeah, if you say you're Darkstone, I can deputize you, and then we can traffic weapons together.
That's right.
Yeah.
This banter is all very fitting, given what I came here to talk to you about.
I love the light-hearted humor of you wearing fully protective gear and a helmet in case I have any other siblings.
I'm just.
That was a good one. So, yeah, I appreciate that. I do not. Well, I do. William Frost. But I haven't seen him in a while. He's from
Please.
He's from a small town called Los Angeles, Tennessee. He doesn't really come around too much. But I was about to say I don't see him as a threat, but I also didn't see Alan as a threat. So but I would just like to let you know, Mayor, that I did kill my own brother for you.
Yeah. You know what I'd like to let you know?
What's that, sir?
I ran back the VOD and I'm like 90% sure you shot me.
I'm 2 for 2 on Los Angeles Mayor, so
you're doing great.
Yeah.
Did either of you speak with Junior today after the legislative authority meeting? So
yes,
I
he
did.
told me some information of which I'm not allowed to say.
Okay.
Time trials?
No.
They boomed the Marshals.
What the fuck about time trials?
They no confidence voted out the Marshals.
Wait, hold on. Wait, what?
Yeah.
So the Constitution recognizes something called a referendum night, which is effectively we motion something to the public.
What?
So procedurally speaking, symbolically, we, the legislative authorities, voted a vote of non-confidence today in the Marshals for a number of reasons. But effectively, we're drafting up a referendum. The public are going to vote on the existence of the Marshals, and if it passes, effectively that entire institution will be torn down.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a threesome right now, sir?
No, mostly because I can't do a Southern accent.
Oh my God.
I can't do a Southern accent anymore either. Because
I heard it's coming along, actually.
It got to the point where I was like multiple disorder personality and Country Frost was not logged in. But now the issue is that I'm continuously British. People don't actually know if I'm logged in or not because there's nothing to differentiate it. But I am very much locked in right now.
Yeah. What was that night? Sorry.
I was going to make a joke about Nino, and of course he must have shut down the Marshals, but then I'm like,
wait, Nino did this?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Nino in like a month and a half. Well, since you were hired, actually.
What do you mean? I've been hired for a minute.
No. Since
Nino got me my job.
Yeah, he was on the interview panel.
And then he said to me, he was in my office. He said, "Well, Frost, I actually have nothing to fight anymore because I put everyone where I wanted them. So I have no reason to hate Blaine County." And then I've not seen him since. Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. All right.
Okay, I wanted to make sure you guys were aware, mostly because if the Marshals are torn down, there's going to be, I was going to say there's going to be a bit of a vacuum in terms of accountability, but it's not like they've really held anyone fucking accountable in the last year, so I guess not.
Actually, I believe there'll be an increase in accountability because we will have more of a reason to internally investigate, to hold people accountable without living on the floating fucking cloud, shall we say, of, the Marshals should be doing this, and they're not doing it because they should be doing it, but they in fact don't do it. Now it's pretty black and white of, if there is internal corruption or anything that needs investigating, there is no Marshals, so I'm going to investigate it.
Well,
so I think there'll be more
for now, right? I think that if we strip the Marshals away, we would have to replace them with something.
The troopers.
Well, so here's the
thing. We've already got
right?
steroids.
People are proposing we maintain the Marshals, perhaps under a different name, perhaps under the same name, as an investigative branch, and we bring the troopers back as a patrol branch. And I guess I want to bring that your way, and I'm going to bring this to the LSPD as well. I'm worried that if there's a branch of this department or this division tasked with patrolling, that's effectively 3 patrol departments, right? I don't know if we need that.
I don't particularly think so. So here's the deal, right? This is my opinion, and weigh it accordingly. As someone who has been high command, who has been a trooper, who has run a detective unit, there is one reality that has only been successful, and that is when patrol functions with a apprehension unit, which doesn't exist today, which does function with a unit dealt with like breaking doors in. And
this guy's rang me 3 times. Do you mind if I just...
Is it Junior?
Hey, what's up?
I've ignored 3 of his calls.
Is it important? I'm in a very important meeting, Alan.
What the fuck? Isn't his brother dead?
I thought he's dead.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, but who's looking for a job? What, are you not hiring?
Oh, Key.
I'm gonna send you the application for shift 2. Send it to her and get her to fill it out, and then we'll have a look. All right, thank you. Goodbye.
Okay. There is no fathom. So the baseline here is that we're currently in a state where, if I were to compare to the departments of the past, there is a lot of lack of comprehension as to how to something occurs. There's an attempt to capture. There's an attempt to investigate. And what does that materialize into? It materializes to something going on a docket. Fundamentally, a successful unit is comprised of multiple branches all functioning together. And so a new marshals or a troopers strictly being like patrolled, that's not going to do anything, because that leads to finding things. You still need your pursuit. You still need your kicking the doors in. You still need you need the best of everybody together, right? And it's one of the reasons why the investigative units, quote unquote, have been non-successful today.
Yeah.
Right? Like the marshals, and I'll let you know this, Mayor, because this is, our department right now has a lot of what the marshals supposedly had. Now documented, and I'm talking about be it the faces, be it the fire stars, be it whatever, right?
Yeah.
But even if we were to go and action that, right, we would need to action that with the assistance of patrol, assistance of participation in TRT, et cetera, et cetera. So proposals along those lines are just cooked. It would probably come from inexperience, and it would likely come from this would be fun to do, to LARP around as this special team that accomplishes nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So,
you know what I will say?
Please.
This is just my opinion of my short experience of having opinions on stuff like this. I feel that every department that you make outside of the police department, such as a patrol department or an investigative department or whatever fucking department is there to be made, you're just taking away from the police department when the resources can be put into the BCSO or LSPD for us to just tackle that on our own. It's like I say, right? The only thing that needs to be done, like if the thing is, and I was saying this earlier, if the marshals did what they were actually supposed to do and what they were legislated to do, they are a massive asset to San Andreas. They genuinely are. The amount of things that they could do and help with or investigate within their legislative rights, if they did it correctly with the correct director, they would have been a fucking fantastic department that we would want around. But unfortunately, they haven't done that. And that doesn't mean that we don't need some kind of like, I guess the word IA isn't needed, because I strongly believe that we do need that. But it's just, are we ever going to get something like that to work, right? That's the issue.
Well, go ahead, Nate.
Every member of the Marshals has been just a random person from DOC. They may seem and act and whatever in a certain way. This is not meant to, and I had this conversation with Frost and Maxwell earlier. This is not against the individuals, right? They're probably mean well. However, without police training, where would they ever learn how to investigate, file a docket, know what to look for, what questions to ask in interrogation, how to take all those pieces and construct them into closing a case, right? Like, even if, like, hypothetically, right? Like, let's say you did some bad shit. They can stand around in a circle and say Michael's evil, right?
Yeah.
But that's fucking meaningless. They could go and tap into your phone calls and be like, oh my God, I heard something. Well, how did they turn that into everything that I have seen so far, they do a lot of tea sipping and whatever. They might go around, driving around, doing this and that. But if they aren't trained in closing cases, what are you going to get? Every single marshal today should have come out of the existing forces, whether it's Blaine County Sheriff's Office or whether it's LSPD. Individuals who have shown a mark and aptitude to be able to go from patrol, galvanize individuals to apprehend, put it on the docket, and get and close that case. Not even necessarily a guilty plea, because I don't think that's a good trademark for. I don't think that's a good litmus for what's good and bad, because people can put great cases together. It's just, you're working on probable cause versus beyond a reasonable doubt, right? And so, and then they build that shit up, right? Or they become those marshals that are working together. You can't start with DOC and just hand them a bunch of toys and be like, figure it out. Ain't gonna get nowhere. Putting a fucking Walmart greeter into a software company and saying, go start writing code. They're gonna start slapping the keyboard and they're gonna look busy as shit, but the fuck are they gonna make that way? They're gonna figure out how to program by themselves? Like, hell no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like I said earlier, right? It's like, to become a deputy or an officer of the LSPD, you need to go through being a recruit to a cadet to a PPO to being sworn in. It's like a 1 to 3 month process to become a sworn in officer, right?
Yeah.
How are these people who turn up to the marshal's office with the equivalent to a McDonald's application, fill it in, get hired, supposed to police the police who have been trained for 3 months to even have the opportunity to ride alone?
Yeah.
Like, it is set up to fail. It needed to be like, and I use this very lightly, take this with a pinch of salt. For it to work, it needed to be like a fucking high command retirement home where that high command was still passionate, pretty much. Like,
well, I don't disagree at all. The thing is, I think that the mandate, and you said this, the mandate of the marshals is important, right? What they're supposed to do is critical. They just don't fucking do it, right? And I think what Knight here has said is important too. I don't think these people are acting in bad faith. I just don't think they're capable.
If that dumb fuck Flores 100% is.
Well, maybe Flores.
Well, I mean, even Flores, he's literally useless, right? But do I expect him to be useful? No, because he just knows he can take out his vehicle and drive around. And he's heard vague, exactly. He's heard vague things about what is in their scope. But like, what the fuck's he gonna do? Like, you know what I mean? Even Gunner, the notion that he wasn't like he comes from a mentality, and I'm trying to be like, and put this in a way that is trying to be defensible for him while not trying to get too weird. it comes from a mentality that just because he's got this he's been given this marshal thing and given this whatever, that he's some he's LARPing and he doesn't realize it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know what? I think some of them actually do, because I heard some of the marshals actually went to academy and they're like, oh, we don't need to be here. We're marshals.
It's what I mean.
That's not really the
right?
case, right? Like that's not the case at all. Your place of employment doesn't mean you're competent, right?
Take New Babylon as an example, right? Now you may not know this, but they have themselves a society of doctors, of like fucking,
I've heard, yeah,
government, like little internal tribunals and all kinds of things like that. Now they have, despite them kind of being, sticks and stones, they have some notion of law, a notion of they're building off of something, right?
Yeah.
But the marshals are in a very same spot, but they have not been able to build over the last year, right? I don't think Dark trained them, right? I don't think Gunner's in a position to do that. It's just, I don't know. I think big question I think y'all should be asking yourselves is, are LSPD and BCSO even at a spot? Let's say you had to pull from that pool. Are they at a good enough spot that you could even go and start another department, regardless of what their, mandate may or may not be, right?
Well, here's something I brought up, Knight. I said, if we went forward with this, we need to accept that whatever department replaces the marshals is going to be a very, very small department. And I mean no offense to either of you by this, but the standards have been so low in both PDs. If we're meant to pull the best of the best, there's going to be no one to pull from, right? There might be 2-3 officers that you're going to hire into this new department, but it's going to take months to build up the skill, right? And at that point, you're asking yourself, like, is this worth all the work, or do we just blow out the scope of the BCSO and the LSPD to include IA? I don't know, right? I don't know.
That's the biggest thing, right? You need someone to lead whatever department that you make.
Yeah.
And it's like you say just then, if you were to rip someone out of the BCSO or the LSPD because you feel that they are competent to lead that department, if they are competent enough to lead a department that you're explaining, then it's going to be a massive hit to whichever department you pull them out of, which already has those standards, right?
Yeah.
It's like we are almost going to lose somehow, somewhere.
Well, yes and no. I think if we go based off precedent, yes. But because the marshals have chosen to be this entity that is, we're better than you, we don't want to work with you, you work for us, right? They've effectively created more jurisdictional disputes than prevented. But if true. If this new department understands that they're meant to work with the PDs, not just investigate them, but in times of need, they're effectively a joint task force, then I don't think anything is lost. Maybe in the day-to-day, sure, but it's
I
not
actually
like that resource
fully agree with you there. And I'm going to note something, and Frost, feel free to stop me at any point. I'm going over the line. One of our biggest hurdles that we're currently facing right now is figuring out a means by which both departments, LSPD and BCSO, have joint communications, reports on high-level investigations. Without that, and I will die on this hill, there will be no closure on any big case ever. Unless those individuals decide for whatever reason on their own accord to end their storyline, and I don't mean that in a weird way. I mean, like, if Face is like, you know what, we're done here, and they're like, you know what, we did all this shit. You know, like how Edgar went to trial and he said, I did all that shit
on Chatterbox.
That was, or Chatterbox, like they came and said, you know what, I want the world to know I did this, right? Now, I don't want to take away from those who worked on those cases, but like those closures were not on us, right? It wasn't the law enforcement that decide, okay, this is the line, we're closing in on them now, right?
Yeah.
That's a problem that we're trying to resolve right now between both departments. A lot of us are pro for it. You know, strict standards. Here's how it works. Here's how you disseminate to the legislative authorities. Here's how you disseminate out so that patrol knows what to look for, because they're a big part of the puzzle, right? Not everyone can be here when some shit goes down, right? That something like you're describing would work, where hypothetically, right? Let's call it Alpha Squad comes around, right? Actually, I'll even give you a name. There's a international organization by the name of Zenith. They have primarily been working with racers. Entities are currently unknown. They go by code names, aliases. They show up every couple of weeks. They have been behind the automotive theft of vehicles, but in thieving those vehicles, they have led behind murders, right? This entity that you speak of realistically would be knowledgeable of these things, would be out there patrolling and respond to these whatevers, would be reading police reports. But when they need to take action or look into it, they would be pulling people from BCSO, LSPD. They're investigating and be like, hey, we got to look at this. And if they ain't got time, well, they would be dedicated to looking at it until those resources came back. When it came to apprehension, they would lean on it, right? So is that sort of what you're kind of describing here? Because
absolutely, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's the only way this works, if I'm being honest.
All right.
I don't know. Now, you may not have been around for the early days of the Marshals, but everyone was very, very focused on the totem pole, is how I'm going to describe it. And if you look at the law firm,
fire like 4 people in like a month or some shit.
He investigated a handful of people. Yeah.
He was doing real shit, no?
He was. Nathaniel Grayson was a marshal for a time, and the two of them were, I think, the closest thing to an authentic
I'm
marshal
1,000%
in
pitching
that, you know, they looked
a
at what
joint
their
task
mandate was
force
and tried to achieve it. Everyone who came after that was like, give me the keys to the tank, dude. You know what I mean? And that's just kind of fucking brain dead. The state didn't need that. But that's what we got, right? So when we look at what's being proposed here, that's why I'm so concerned about, well, like, you know, this agency needs a patrol division. Well, why? I mean, to me, that's just another color of car on the street patrolling the streets that are already sufficiently being patrolled. And to me, it's just gonna result in another jurisdictional dispute, and we're gonna be fucking running it back all over again. You know what I mean? But I think with the right person at the helm, and this is key, right? Because I don't think the Marshals have ever really had a fair shake. Their leadership has kind of been tainted since their inception. But I think if the Marshals have the right leadership in place and the right mandate, and they work collaboratively with the other departments, right? They don't just come in and big dick. They work together, joint task force. I think that's the only way this works.
What do you believe their mandate is? Because I've heard so many different things. I'm curious what your belief is. What is the intention of a marshal? Is it akin to that in the United States, or like what is it?
That's a loaded question.
Would it come down to, is it a cross jurisdictional? Is it a cross jurisdictional threat? Right.
It's so political.
Well, the last time I said loaded question, I think it was when your brother asked me something, and I said that's a loaded question. And then
you met a loaded M4.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, shit.
So what do I think their mandate is? I mean, to me, the idea of the Marshals have always been an investigative unit that is cross-jurisdictional, meaning as systemic corruption is identified in public sector agencies, right? So my government, the government of the North, police departments, perhaps even EMS or the hospital, that they are brought in to investigate as a potentially neutral third party. That really hasn't been the case at all, though.
I think the issue is, though, and I'm actually going to be devil's advocate, and I mean, you can ask anyone in the world. I fucking despise the Marshals.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like devil's advocate and be on their side here. They fucked it for themselves so much that it got to the point where the LSPD and the BCSO actually made it worse for them, in the sense that their job is a big part of their job is to investigate like internal corruption in departments, right? Cops that are doing things that they shouldn't be, investigate them, take their job if needed, and so be and so forth, right? And it got to the point where the departments lost so much confidence in the marshal that they were always going to be fighting an upwards battle, because instead of high command or whoever it may be going to the marshals and saying that we believe that one of our officers did this, can you look into it? There was absolutely no trust or confidence in them for us to do that. So them losing that trust made their job so much harder, because now not only do they not have us reporting things to them that need to be handled, they also didn't actively search things out that needed to be handled, right?
Sure.
Because, I mean, look at all these situations, right? The meth cooking, the cop killing someone.
Yeah.
The impeachment, where they went and just like, instead of like, hey, this is what happened, we fucked up or whatever.
Or the Miller thing, right? They should have all been, okay, so we know cops have cooked meth. Hey, Gunner, we have, probable cause to believe, like, we think that cops cooked meth. This is the evidence we have. That should have been passed on to them. Or Brixton killed a cop. This is the evidence we have. Or Miller destroyed these memorials. This is the evidence we have. Wipe our hands with it, and then they deal with it, because that's their job, right? But because there was so little confidence, those were all handled internally, again, making them less important, right?
True.
But listen, though, as you play devil's advocate, they did this to themselves, right?
I agree. No, I do. I'm just saying, they did this to themselves so much that they lost our confidence to help too. So they ended up doubling down on not being able to do their job, pretty much, right?
Well, and it wasn't just the confidence of the PD that they lost. They lost the confidence of the people too. And at that point, I'm a business guy first, Frost. Your brand is in the fucking sewer. You know what I mean?
And my brand is pretty good.
Your brand is great, but the brand of the Marshals.
Oh yeah, that is in the sewer.
You're not rebuilding that, right? Not without like broad scale total overhaul, right?
If you're like even regardless of whether you're a senior officer, regular deputy, whatever it is, your rank don't mean shit. Your department don't mean shit in San Andreas. People go to somebody and work with somebody if you have developed respect, and that is always been the case, right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And they never had respect. They never showed themselves to be people there. They're like, hey, let me call up the marshal. Oh shit, let me call up the marshals. Let's see, like, there's some shit going on. Why would they? Because at the end of the line is you got Richard Dark and you got fucking Gunner Kane and whoever that random bozo is that showed up to be a lawyer. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to put that up and you're going to be like, hey, I thought I called the fucking Marshals. Why do I got Walmart customer support on the line? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be like,
if I steal his shoes, are you going to arrest me?
Please don't. These are snakeskin.
Hold on. I got you.
I'm so fucking hungry all the time. Do you got any food? Anyone?
I got none.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
No, I ate I gave my last piece to Steven. I ate the other one. But
give me one second.
You got a tough problem to deal with. Like at the end of the day, I do think that having something is reasonable as like a filter, even if it consisted of a singular audit that was developed over time. If their mandate was inherently, you must work with both departments.
Yeah.
Right. You must filter to the legislative authorities. You are responsible for the state. Right. And therefore, be it corruption in the departments, be it whatever big threat there is, that mandate must be adhered to. I think, I don't know.
I listen. I agree. I agree. And then the funny thing is, we actually had an ex-marshal attend this meeting, right? And he was very concerned when I said, that I think we needed to be very clear and direct in legislating their mandate. And he's, well, things change over time. You don't want to legislate it because then it's, what happens in a couple weeks when the mandate needs to change. But fast and loose kind of got us into the position that we're in right now. You know what I mean?
I kind of disagree. I think it's the mandate being vague wasn't the issue, in my opinion, because I'll put it like this. And I want to relate it to some of the problems we've had here. If someone is, you could have like a checklist of this is what you're mandated, but if the person's well, they're going to still get confused and come up with excuses why they don't understand. Absolutely. The problem is that that was the issue. If the mandate is you're responsible for the state and you must work with the departments and actively you must whatever, that's not confusing for anyone that's an adult, has a adult level of comprehension. And if it falls below that, right, it's either, or they are abusing their power because they just wanted like the authority, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, that's a leadership issue.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like the impeachment thing, right? If you are a marshal and you are in that position that you're in because you're trusted to hold people accountable and make sure that the state is safe and all of that shit, right? You would not, if it gets to the point where a marshal is being impeached and they are on the stand, the last thing that you would expect is them to lie. Like at that point, own it, like you fucked up.
Well,
and it was your job.
I don't know, Frost. I think the last thing I expected was for the marshal that's being impeached to hire a lawyer to speak for him at his impeachment hearing. That's
a marshal that got hired and became a lawyer and was, I don't know, that entire thing was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
That you've probably got a copy of that transcript.
I do.
I can speak to a bunch of those things. Frost can speak to a bunch of those things. That was just straight. I genuinely am waiting for the moment to arrest their ass or execute them, because there's a concept that I was hired on with a long time ago, one that I held true to my own, is that there's certain what would Sam Bass call them? Cardinal sins that once you do those, like, you best out yourself for discipline if you're in those positions. If I or leave something behind or whatever.
I'm gonna just stay. I'm gonna lay down on the floor.
But I don't think they actually. I think they might be too stupid to realize it.
This is what's so infuriating, and I mean, it's like Nat just touched on there. They openly said on the stand that the BCSO knew exactly about this weapons thing from start to finish, and we were in on it. Michael, when all I tell you is the day before, I read a fucking dinky little book on what was happening, and then got told to turn up. That was it.
And that had the Marshals insignia on it.
And we didn't even bring any guns to BCSO. Every single one went to LSPD.
We stole 2 boxes.
Yeah, we did steal 2 boxes. That's right. But I'd admit that because I'm not a pussy.
But so here's the thing, right? That's more than the LSPD got, because when I relieved Chief Turner and appointed Ruby, Ruby debriefed with the chief and asked for all the information and documentation on Darkstone. You know what he said? He said there wasn't any. And when Ruby asked for all the documentation on the suspension investigation that occurred,
Yo, Scuba, thank you so much for the gifty, man.
Chief Turner told her? It was a verbal investigation.
Brother,
there were no reports.
Listen, I don't want to be here to stir the bucket or anything, right? But when I tell you, I begged the LSPD for them to write a report on Miller so that while we were investigating, we could cross-reference it. I literally couldn't have tried any harder for that high command to write a report on this.
What if he wants to take them to court, Frost?
Well, then they're fucked.
What are they?
Wait, who takes who to court? Sorry.
What if Lucas Miller wants to take them to court? What if we want to establish some type of employment law? There's no documentation.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a double-ended sword, right? It could go either way if he has witnesses to show that there was an internal investigation, right? But you are also right in what you're saying. If he didn't have that, then yeah, he's got absolutely nothing apart from his word of a fired, quote-unquote, corrupt cop, right?
Right. But that's that. I mean,
but it's not right. Obviously,
no. I mean, that's it. But what are we doing here, right? The job of the PD isn't to protect themselves from getting sued by past employees, right? You investigate something, you document it. You don't document it, that's just a fucking conversation.
And this is the most disgusting thing, right? And it's weird. I actually just had this conversation with Angel a moment ago. Things like this, where somebody has done something wrong and are being investigated, people need to, and this doesn't happen. I mean, it's happening in the BCSO recently. People need to understand that, say if me or Knight are investigating one of our officers or anything like that, or one of our officers do something wrong, at the end of the day, we are a department, we are a team, we're meant to work together. I'm not going to be out for them, right? No. So me writing a report on what they've done wrong or getting statements or any evidence not only supports me as the sheriff for when I do what I need to do, it also gives them the opportunity to support themselves, right? And this is why it's also fucked. I mean, Miller didn't have a report. None of the people who got held accountable for any of the things that you heard about, there wasn't a single report on any of that. And it's like, how are we supposed to reference that?
Yeah.
And this is what I said to Ruby. Miller had a statement that he verbally told. The chief then got multiple statements from other people, other witnesses, other people that were involved in Miller's situation. And without Miller having a written statement, word for word, of what happened and what went down and who he spoke to, how are you supposed to cross-reference all of that information that you've absorbed verbally with Miller's statement without getting wires twisted somewhere? Because I would have doubt in my mind. Oh, wait, they said that. Well, I could have swore that Miller said he didn't do that.
Listen,
but I can't prove that Miller said that because I didn't write it down. It's like, how the fuck did you expect that to work?
I will.
It's not going to work.
Even then, blow it out further, right? Every one of these instances is a case study for a future academy, right? People could have learned from these situations. Instead, we tried to hide every detail. And for what, right?
It goes so bad, I'm going to say that even Turner tried to hide it. I'm going to just say it straight. Look, I had a very...
He didn't try to. He actively did. And I caught him doing that.
Oh.
And this is
wait, why was he
right?
Why was he let go? I actually don't know.
The guy fucking lied to me over and over again. Over and over again. He left out details on purpose to the point where I had to call him out and say, is this about job preservation or is this about the LSPD?
That right there is what's happening with the Marshals as well. We don't stand for that here. I'm going to tell you right now, we're hiring Miller this Friday.
Good.
And I don't think even his situation, I'll tell you, I already spoke to ADMC, Shang, before we did. They're over it as well. Look, none of this should have been more than like suspension pending investigation. I would have demanded honesty so that we could correct the issue. But it could not be corrected when everyone is bending over backwards, covering something up, which makes it worse because now we don't know what the fuck is going on.
Do you know about the situation with two officers doing something with Sama, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one who exposed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know about the Brixton situation?
What do
Yeah.
you know how? Before we touch on that, do you know that it wasn't just cooking meth, right?
So I know that there was an arrest. Some equipment was taken into custody. And I've got the story about 3 different ways.
Are we talking about the meth one or?
We are.
Okay.
Right. So this equipment that was suspected to have been used to cook meth was in the possession of the PD. And I was told that Doc was instructed to turn the evidence over to SAMA and that they should lead anything to do with the classification of methamphetamine. Right. And
you know what?
This was Turner that instructed them.
Here, you know what? Here, come on. Take this and just put it in my mouth.
Did I make that one?
Come on, just
Stop.
do it.
No, don't do this. Don't do this.
Just put it in my mouth and pull the trigger.
I don't want to hear that shit.
No.
I've been hearing that shit too long. I'm trying to get my train ticket. You guys keep fucking it.
Uh-huh.
What part of it? I'm telling him to take my gun and pull the trigger on me.
So yeah, I was told that
he's dark stone.
The only reason Doc went along with SAMA was because the chain of custody of the evidence, and that Turner didn't tell him not to help SAMA. He just said, "Don't take lead." And that's how the story was told to me.
So Turner said no, straight up no. Doc, I believe, asked if he could go and do what he needed to do with SAMA and cook meth so that they could test it.
Yeah.
The chief directly told him no. He still did.
The issue
that's where the issue mainly laid with Turner, I believe. The fact that he told him no and he did.
Do you know that firsthand, though?
Yeah, I know that firsthand. Yeah.
You were there when he said no?
Oh no, I wasn't there when he said no, but that's from the horse's mouth, right?
So when I talked to Turner told me that I need to talk to SAMA to get their side of the story. When I talked to Doc, when I talked to Doc said that Turner didn't say no. He said to turn over the evidence to SAMA and that they were lead on it. There was no direct.
There's an elephant in the room here.
Go ahead,
please.
Doc has much more interest in lying to you than the chief did to me, I feel.
There's a bigger elephant, gentlemen. There's a much bigger elephant.
Please.
Okay. There wasn't just that he cooked meth or watched meth or that fact that anyone was like, hey guys, let's go give them the fucking equipment and give it the FAMA. No, they don't need to cook it. You literally need to test whether it's...
They had it in their possession. That's what I said
to Turner. I literally said that to Turner.
Now here's a bigger elephant, and I'm sick of it because this should have been handled appropriately, but apparently fucking everyone's a goddamn jackass as to what should have been done here. The guy, literally, they fucking noted down how much time it took to pack a fucking table, unpack a table, the things, the buttons that they're pushing on it and everything, and it went into a fucking investigative report. That's the real thing. And anyone that does that shit should be nowhere near a fucking investigation because you don't know what the fuck they're going to do next, right? Like what other crazy shit they might do that probably should never be a fucking occurring to begin with. That's the real issue. So regardless of now, don't get me wrong. If there was a lie here or there,
in the right light,
if there is a lie here or there, that's bad. That is something you fire over. But that enters into a realm of you cannot even trust them to be having a badge ever, because he's not some new guy, right? When you start talking to shady people and presenting as law enforcement, effectively, this is the only way you cook meth. And we found one bag, and we're now touching buttons, right? We might as well start robbing the maze bank to figure out what the hacking devices are and this and that. You get what I'm saying?
I mean,
I'm just going to say this. It is frustrating to me, even when it was in the hands of high command, that there wasn't enough, like, fucking, I don't know, understanding of what they're dealing with to deal with it appropriately. And that the topic is still coming up about, like, oh my God, it needed a lie. No, we're saying, quote unquote, it's because he cooked meth, but it was a bigger picture than that. You know what I mean? So you get my anger here?
I do. So when was sworn in, right? When I took my oath of office, the first person I talked to was Turner, and I gave him a mandate, right? Because that's what I'm supposed to do. And I asked this guy, you know, how long do you have left? You've been chief for a while, and he tells me, well, I think I have 1 term left. And I gave him a very, very simple mandate, right? I said, pick someone. You need to make sure you train someone and have them ready for when you're done. That is your mandate.
Yeah, Knight's standing on business on that because, like, distracting away of like, I didn't know I could cook.
He told me
the real issue was fucking the fucking mechanics.
He didn't
an investigative report.
There was no one. And after he told me that, he also went on to tell me all the stuff.
Which is fine if it's like
he didn't tell me anything about Brixton. I had to bring that up. Yeah, go ahead.
I hate this door. I hate this door.
Oh shit. Can you
I can't do it either.
Oh,
all right.
Thank you. Could I just grab a bite to eat?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, it was just really dark in here.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Oh,
I'll give you a hand,
good shit. Is
Out the door, yeah, thank you.
Let Ramella know, like, I know you guys probably got to desperately talk to me. Where this is this man's got to go back to his Darkstone headquarters right after this. So
yeah. I'm just appetizing him so we can get
more guns and bombs.
Oh, cool!
And shit.
I love AK.
So I tell him this. He tells me he doesn't have a name. I find out all the stuff about ADMC, about Brixton, about all the other shit that happened in an 8-day period while I was on holiday, and all these things. Right, I hear about all of them, and all these things in isolation are very, very manageable situations. Right, some may necessitate firing, some may necessitate suspension, investigation, so on and so forth. But there's a way to deal with all of these things. It was the culmination of all of it happening in such a short period of time, the lying to me, the withholding of information, and the refusal to take ownership of their own officers' actions, right? Because you two know this as leaders. When people under you that you're responsible for fuck up, that's your failure too, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh hell yeah! I told Junior that I was ready to resign if that's what he wanted after what Alan did.
Yeah.
When I brought up the Doc and Opal situation, it was talk to Sama. When I brought up the Lucas Miller situation, it was, well, we fired him. Right? When I brought up the Brixton situation, it was nothing. Well, the guy was crazy. He quit and he just stole a rifle and shot people up. But all of this speaks to a bigger problem. It's just the refusal to take any level of accountability, any level of ownership for your officers' actions.
This is the thing, Ryan, and an apology goes a very long way in these situations, even if it's as simple as, like, hey, Mayor Razzle, I understand that Brixton did what he did. I do apologize for my officer's actions. We have dealt with it. He won't be getting a funeral governed by the state, and I'm more than happy to do a press conference to explain what went on and accept ownership of this and try to improve going forward, right? Like, even something as simple as that can cover a situation as detrimental as what did happen, right?
Sure.
And it's not hard to do that.
Well, no, it's not hard to do that. But the modus operandi for the LSPD was delay as long as possible. And I mean, with Miller, it took them 3 days to even suspend the guy.
You said what size?
You do that on the spot.
You know what I mean? It's funny we're talking about this.
I told them to do that with Opal and Doc too.
Given we're dealing with that right next door. You know what I mean?
But these are all simple things, right? Anyone with an ounce of leadership experience knows exactly what to do in a situation like this. To me, this is all not much different than when, well, you'll remember this, Frost. TRT. Do you remember when TRT roster was wiped and no one was even talked to about it?
Yep, I woke up and got told to take my vest off.
Yeah? Does that sound like fucking leadership?
Well, I can't say too much because I wiped my...
Wait, what happened? I'm confused.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
But what had happened was you had to take your vest off?
They wiped TRT, and the way that it was communicated, I remember waking up. Romello told me, hey, Frost, get back up there and take that fucking vest off. And I didn't even understand why. But he was my sergeant, so I just said, yes, sir, and took my vest off. And it turned out that they wiped TRT.
Holy fuck, that. Have
It's just this unwillingness to have an uncomfortable conversation, right? And that's where I started to have a problem. So I had this conversation with Turner and Peters, and like 5 minutes into it, they're like, give us the names of the people you've talked to. Who's leaking information to you? And I'm like, I'm the fucking mayor.
Oh my
Right.
God, no way. He did that shit with us in Octo.
Yeah.
He
He
tried to
derailed-
allege.
Yeah.
He
They're
tried
like,
to
how do you
allege
know
I
about
was
the
hiding
ADMC?
things from him.
What's
They-
70% of the fucking ADMC were present at the raid. You think one of
Yeah.
them didn't see something? You dumb bitch.
They will both derail. I mean, they were doing it to us. They will derail any questions asked towards them into something about you, right? I wouldn't be
That's exactly
surprised
what it
if you going to speak to your chief of police turned into them interrogating you. I can 100% see
That's
that.
exactly what happened.
They tried to arrest one of my deputies,
And you want to know the
like,
craziest thing?
and said he was kidnapping an LSPD officer for asking him about the ADMC situation.
Jeez.
And the worst part is that deputy wrote a report up of exactly what happened and what things that he did that were wrong. They rang me saying, I want the report for Octo. I said, I'll
Yeah.
give you it if you give me the report for Miller. He said, I can't talk about that on the phone. People listen to phone calls. Are you stupid?
Yeah.
You just spoke about the Octo thing on the phone.
Yeah.
And then I never got the report, but he did get his report on Octo.
Rats.
But yeah, that's kind of it. That's why I made the call. The guy.
Yo,
he's
that's
excellent at conveying
crazy,
this
bro.
image, right? Prim and
You're in
proper.
this.
No running in the hallway. Cut your hair. No more dyed hair. Right? Very militaristic image that he conveyed. But when you tried to align his actions with his words or the image that he was conveying, it didn't fucking line up. I'm by the book. I swear to God, I'm by the book. I'm Wyatt Turner. But I don't document my investigations. Well, that makes a lot of fucking sense. Anyways, now I'm tasked with the impossible job of picking a replacement from a
You know, my
department.
boss is a lot easier to deal than I imagine you would be. I'm
Junior?
Yeah, I'm happy I've got Junior. You know, you know what I'm saying?
It's because like 20% of your brain has more brain power than his entire body.
Yeah. But that is our
Ready to
husband.
check?
But I mean, listen. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Ready to
We did 16 interviews, and I'm going to tell you
Ooh,
the.
Can I ask you a question that stays directly in this room?
It always does. What's up?
I know who you know that you picked someone in your head. Who is it?
I haven't yet.
Oh, really?
But I want to tell
What's
you
your top
something.
three?
My top three. Kyle Pred, Gregory Johnson, Jebediah Jenkins.
Oh my God, Pred's gonna be the fucking chief.
You know, I'm all for Pred being
Oh,
the chief. I was actually
shit.
just fucking with him earlier.
You got
He's-
an
It seems like he's
MDT,
gonna
Brian?
have a.
Yep.
How's Pred looking?
Well, he's oh, we were there. He got expunged.
Good boy.
Oh shit. Oh, you know, I just said to him, I said, Pred, if you're gonna be the chief, I'm gonna need you to have some fucking balls and communication. And he said that's all he wants. So
I do want to point something out.
Hmm.
Ruby York has done a fucking insanely good job.
I believe it.
And I think if you know, I don't know if those two other options were memes, because Gregory Johnson's a fucking dumb fuck. Probably did really good in the interview, but holy fuck, that guy would be a disaster for you. Jeb
yeah,
is
just the
great.
musical chairs every day.
It is important as someone who has worked close with Ruby, watch her build up Shift 2 by herself with no assistance, virtually. And the effort that she has put in that small tenure, she is a fucking phenomenal in this interim role. And has probably done more work in the short time than quite frankly, I don't know anyone else is since the you know, the three captains.
I think Ruby's done great,
Mm.
but I actually
I don't want to, and I say that, but I don't want to necessarily hear the why not. You know what I mean? Out of respect.
No, I'm not even going to give you that. But I want to
Yep.
tell you something that another candidate said to me. And they told me during their interview that people at the LSPD are afraid to be themselves.
Why? They don't get fucking held accountable for anything. I'd be
Well,
myself if I was there.
That's the thing, right? They don't get held accountable until they do. And it's usually one end of the spectrum or the other, right? You do wild shit for 6 months, nothing happens, and then out of nowhere, suddenly you're fired. So you look at the LSPD, a lot of the police at the LSPD that were integral for morale, right? You can say what you want about their policing, but the Carmines, the Bobbies, the Alanas, they may not be your rock stars, right? They may not ever graduate to a high command position, but they are important for the culture. And where the fuck are all of them? Well, they're gone.
Well, it's weird you say that because we just saw Kyle Pred and every single one of those was surrounding him like a fly.
Yeah.
Weirdly that you mention it. Even Bobby was there.
Right. But that's kind of my point, right? I show up to PD meeting nowadays. Like I poked my head in on Sunday. I saw you in there. I saw 2 LSPD officers, I think. And morale is important. Culture is important. And I'm not saying standards and policing and procedure and SOPs, all these things are important, right? But the LSPD to me has no identity anymore.
That's fair.
It's just a blank canvas, and no one is willing to pick up a pencil and start drawing.
Yeah.
So I agree. I agree entirely. I think Ruby, I told her, interim is not shackles. Go forward and do whatever the fuck you want to do, right? And she did exactly that. But
can I have a hot take here?
Please.
I mean, the way that you're saying exactly that, pick up a pen and start writing, was kind of the mindset that I also came into the BCSO with. And I think this is the mindset that the LSPD chief of police needs. It's all we do all day is talk about how bad these departments are and how low standards are and how fucked everything is. So if you go in there and do something completely drastic, like, for example, demote every single command and high command member back down to deputy and rebuild, it physically probably can't get much worse than it is. So you trying to take a full fucking rip the handbrake up and you turn the police department that you are the head of now, the risk isn't actually that high of making the department worse. Yeah. Because like you say, they are pretty much at rock bottom. So taking a drastic fucking risk and just fucking balls to the wall, fucking doing something crazy, trying to make change is what I feel was needed for the BCSO. And I think it could also help the LSPD too. It's a gamble. There is that small risk that it could completely fuck everything. But at the end of the day, these officers and deputies, they need jobs. This is what they do. They're cops.
Yeah.
So they're going to fucking stick around regardless of what happens because, like you say, they've been cops forever. They are cops. It's what they do.
Yeah.
They might do it in a different place, but all these people who say, oh, I'm not waking up no more, it never fucking happens because guess what? They're cops and they want to be cops.
Why?
So they continue to wake up. They just moan about it a little bit more. And that's all it is.
Even then, like I said, there was, I think, 2 or 3 LSPD at the fucking meeting on Sunday. People are already not waking up. So it's not much
I think,
you know I
think
mean?
it's important to highlight there that a big part of it is to Carmine's one of mine, right? As is some of the even Johnson, believe it or not, is there is a happy balance between the two. If you don't have a foundation that's strong enough to handle a Carmine, Carmine now is the reason you're not gonna get police looking into the 911s, getting the raids, getting the accountability that the legislative authorities need. Because Guess you know why? They're dealing with Carmine all day. You know what I mean? And you need that balance. And you know, I think with if Pred is your choice, I think he's going to do a hell of a job. Quite frankly, you know what I mean?
I'll tell you
And,
one thing that Pred, I feel that Pred can do that other candidates can't. And again, take this with a pinch of salt. Even if it is periodically during the honeymoon period, I can assure that that department will be fucking booming for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, true.
Because he does have that. I mean, you know, Pred, obviously.
He has
Pred
the thing we were talking about
is
earlier.
a very, very gravitational person. He pulls you in, and he pulls everyone in around him, right? And that is what he's good at. Yeah. He's like a people's person.
Yeah,
100%.
Now, I don't know how he's going to be or how passionate he is at this time, but if you want change, then that's your pick, right? If you want a stable, consistent growth, then Ruby's your pick. I feel like you have two ends of the spectrum here. You have one that's going to fucking explode, bring in loads of people. It's going to be booming. It's going to be chaos, and then it could level out and be great. Or you have the slow and steady Ruby York who's just going to keep improving it day by day as she does, right? And I think that's pretty much the in my opinion, the two choices. Obviously, you are going to make your own choice, and I'm not going to do anything to change that. That's just in my professional opinion of that department, right? I don't know what your opinion is, Knight, but
you know what's funny?
But Pred's my best friend, so I'm going to think very highly of him. He used to be my boss
as well. He's mine and Brian's dad. If you didn't know that,
if you would have sat on the panel, you would have heard 16 people come up and all.
I was conflicted, so
yeah. Basically the same thing. They would all rattle off what they thought the biggest issues were in the LSPD, and they would all basically say the same thing. And these are simultaneously the people who have so much to say about all the problems at the LSPD, but also are so unwilling to change. You know what I mean? And when I asked them,
I bet they were consistent across the board, right?
It was very consistent, right? They would all tell me standards have dropped. There is no accountability. You'd hear the odd arbitrary thing like we need to redo all the certifications.
I hate when people do that in interviews, when they come and they tell you what the problems are. Like you're interviewing for the job, you should be there knowing that the mayor knows what the problems are. And you go in there and say, I understand the standards have dropped. Now this is how I'm going to fucking fix it. Not, the standards are low. I'm going to hold people accountable.
Well, and that's it. That's what you would hear. I would ask a question. How do you rebuild public trust in the LSPD? And the answer is like, well, we're going to do more community outreach. Well, what is that? What does that look like? Well, we're going to talk to people.
Yep.
That's what I mean. So a lot of them didn't really have answers. I mean, it was just buzzwords. You know what I mean?
It reminds me of the conversation we had earlier today, Ross. Without going into details, you know what I mean? Where,
okay, I'll take your word for it.
Wait, what? With me or with Razzle?
No, with you and me. You, me,
we had a 3-hour locked-in conversation.
Right, there's a fourth individual, and it's just like, well, okay, cool story.
Oh, shit. That shit drives me insane.
That's what it is. That's what it reminds me of.
I would have gone fucking there and then without going into too much detail. But if that was one of ours, if they had have done what they did, I would have told them to not come back till tomorrow, 100%. I would not have just that shit.
I do need to get back to the situation with I gotta before they get out of here. So is there anything?
Can I just have a minute with you as well, Michael, real quick on
okay?
Of
course.
All right.
Thank you, Nate.
You mind to help me out? Oh, by the way, that authority meeting is going to be soon. TM.
You can't hear you.
The legislative authority meeting.
Yeah, with the state. No, the one with the state, Darkstone related.
Oh, what time?
They're waiting for the other guy.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, this Thursday.
I don't hear
That's it.
anything that's being said right now. I'm in the vacuum.
What time are we talking about this Thursday coming? 2 days?
I can't hear Michael.
He's not talking.
Then who are you talking to?
You said this is
The
on
meet-
Thursday, right?
I didn't say anything about Thursday. It's supposed the meeting over the
Oh.
dark zone thing with the state is gonna. They're just waiting on one other person. So
Oh, okay.
did he hear that?
Right. Yeah, he did.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night, husband.